Hello there, welcome back to another episode of Lunar Zoo. I do hope you're well today, thanks for joining me. So, where are we in Lunar Zoo? So this is our zoo concentrating very much on foliage and buildings. It's something that I'm trying to improve, is my abilities of building buildings. So we have our entrance here that we did in our first episode, and we have our meerkat that we have done in the second episode, and then in our third episode we built this pretty cool looking aardvark habitat over here. Our little aardvarks are getting around just fine in here. So what are we doing today? We are working just outside here today, and as you can see I've already put my path in place. So this is going to be a koala habitat, and it's going to be quite I want to say unique. It's not going to be unique. Someone's done it before, of course, but I haven't, so it's unique to me. So my theory is I'm going to have the entrance here, as in the the keeper entrance here. So this bit of path is going to have to go. So then there's going to be the koala habitat in the middle here. But I'm going to build some kind of climbing frame structure over the pathways and out into these side areas here, and probably around the back over here as well. So this path will come all the way around the outside and link back up over here. So the koalas can climb around on things on the inside, but then they'll hopefully be able to come up and over the pathways above the people's heads and onto sort of platforms over here. So they won't be able to climb down at this end, so I'm going to have to find the right materials so they can climb on the tops of them, but they can't climb down, because I don't want them coming down to the ground here, otherwise they would escape. So it's going to be tricky, it's going to be interesting, it's going to be fun. That's the main thing. I want to enjoy it. Yeah, it's going to be something, like I say, that I've not done before, so I don't quite know how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to do it no matter what. So I've already, as you can see, laid out the basic size and structure. I love being able to make these little stairways. I think they look really cool. So these will be flower beds, these areas that aren't actually part of the habitat as such, but obviously, like I say, there's going to be these raised platforms sort of on big wooden posts, probably in each corner, with links to there, because I think it'd be really cool if you could you walk up the stairs here and you can walk around the habitat, but they actually have the koalas climbing above your heads. That's my theory. I think that might be really, really cool. We shall see. It might be a challenge, but yeah, I'm always up for a challenge. So let's crack on, and I'll see what I can come up with, shall I? And hopefully you'll enjoy watching me either succeed or fail miserably and tear my hair out, because it could be quite infuriating if I can't get it to work, but only time will tell. So let me crack on with a bit. Okay, this has taken me quite a while to do. I'll explain why. So you can see we've got our koalas in, so I've given them a little pool because they can swim, and obviously they need to drink as well, so they have a pool of water. So this is what I had in mind for these climbing frames. So that it's a simple wood and rope structure. Obviously they're not finished yet. You can see this bit of rope that aren't quite connected yet. So what I needed to do was I needed to find the right material. So this one, for example, this post here, they can climb from the ground all the way up it. They can then climb on the ropes, and because of the structure, you need the top bit here to be climbable, so they can go from this bit of rope to this bit of rope, but I've got to make the bit at the bottom non-climbable. So that's what I've done. I found a post here. This is one of the new posts. I think this came in the Africa pack, so I've just recolored it green. Originally it comes as a blue piece, I think, and that isn't climbable. So by having that at the bottom, you stop the koalas being able to escape the habitat by climbing down to the ground, but they can still climb along the ropes and down onto these platforms here. So this is the idea. So you've got this basic structure. They can come up the inside, over the pathway, and then out to the platforms. And so I've just copied that 3 times around the habitat, and it does work. They do climb it, not so much yet, but eventually I think these platforms will probably be bigger. I might even build little shelters on some of them, and I might try and put some enrichment items on these as well, some toys, just to really try and encourage them to come over. Now this entrance is just temporary. This rock here is not staying. It's only there to create a barrier for now so the koalas can't escape, even though obviously in real life they would just walk around here. In the game they've got a big enough hitbox that they can't get through these gaps, so it's purely there at the moment just to stop them escaping while I do all the rest of the habitat. Obviously this pathway has to stop because you'd have to allow access. I didn't want to faff around trying to build bridges or underpasses or anything like that. So yeah, it's coming together. It's you can see my idea now, and oh, look at them. Oh, they're so adorable, aren't they? I know I say that about every animal in this game. It's just because they are. Oh, you just want to stroke them, don't you? Well, apparently in real life they are, I mean, yes, they are quite soft and cute and cuddly most of the time, but apparently they can be quite aggressive towards each other, which is interesting. Whereas with humans they tend to be really friendly with humans, but they can be quite aggressive to each other apparently. So yeah, interesting. You often find that with animals. They're nice to us because they don't see us as a threat, and obviously we treat them nicely most of the time and we give them food, but actually when it comes to members of their own species they're often quite aggressive, particularly when it comes to attracting mates and that sort of thing. Oh, I love the way they just sit like that. They just look so peaceful, don't they? Look at that detail. That fur looks amazing. Look at the detail on the ears. Really, really nice. I love all the little animations as well. He's just, look at that. He's just nibbling himself, having a scratch. That's great, isn't it? Oh, the detail in this game is just wonderful. Anyway, let's crack on. Right, so yeah, so that's my basic structure in place. So obviously there's an awful lot of detail. I've got to have some trees as well, so I'm going to have some trees in the middle area here, and obviously a lot of detailing to do around the outside. So there's an awful lot still to do, but at least now you get an idea of what I'm doing. Now obviously I know I said that this zoo is focusing on buildings and foliage, but that doesn't mean that every habitat I build is going to involve a building. Some of them are just going to be new ideas. So this is a new idea. I've not done this before, and I think it's going to work out really nicely. So that's yeah, that's that. It's just I'm doing new things, so there is going to be a lot of buildings, and obviously there can be a lot of foliage. But it doesn't mean that there's going to be buildings and foliage everywhere, just where it's necessary. But yeah, I think this is going to look really cool. So I'm going to go away and do a bit more now, and I'll be back in just a minute. Right, just a very quick update here. I've really not done a lot, I'll be honest. I just wanted to show you my idea for the larger platforms. So obviously I've just made the physical platform larger and put a little roof on. I thought this looked kind of nice, and it'll encourage them to come over by putting some bedding on and a little roof. It'll give them a reason to climb over here and hopefully sleep here, because it's not only got bedding but it's got shelter as well, which is all to do with the programming of how the how the animals act. It's all about what they require. So they require bedding and they require shelter. So if you put the two together, hopefully they will come over here and sleep. So if I highlight one and show you the traversable area, you can see they can climb all over these ropes and on these top pieces, and they will actually come and lie down on here. I've also, as you can see, put these trees in the middle. So I got rid of the posts that were in the middle and connected all three of these platform systems to the trees instead. I thought that looked a bit nicer. So obviously they can go up these trees, and the reason I use these trees is because they've got these large open stems, and for the koalas when they climb it means you can really see them, and obviously the white colour of the stems shows the koalas up really nicely. So they do get quite high up in these trees. You can see they can get right up to here, but generally they don't. Generally they come up to sort of here-ish, just before the foliage starts, and they just sit on the branches around here. So that's really cool. So these trees are fantastic. I mean, they look fantastic anyway, don't they? They're just cool looking trees, but they are particularly good for the koalas to climb. And it just looks much nicer having the ropes connected to them rather than connected to posts. Well, I think it does anyway. And obviously this one at the end here is a longer system because I wanted it to connect to the tree, so I've added extra beams and ropes in as well. I think it's looking really nice actually. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to have this shelter duplicated on all of these platforms. That would be too much. But I might have one more probably over on this one here, I think, and then I'll leave the back just as it is. I might make the platforms larger potentially, but I won't put the shelters on. I think that will look too over the top if you've got too many of those. We'll see though as I go along. Still not sure how I'm going to do this entrance yet. Yeah, not really sure at all, but hey ho, you know, I'm making this up as I go along. But at the moment it's working really nicely actually. I think this is going to be a really interesting looking habitat. I do hope so anyway. It's certainly working well so far. I've not had any major disasters. They're not using it much yet, but they will. I know from research that I've done that it takes the computer a while to configure where the animals will actually go. So even though it can tell you instantly their traversable area does include all these bits, they won't use it for a while. It takes the animals a while to sort of develop their behaviour. And of course each time you change it, that resets. So, which I will have to do because as you can see I've still not connected all these rope pieces up properly. So there's still a bit of tweaking to do. So until it's finished, they're not really going to be using it much, but at least I know they can, and that's the main thing. Right, so let me go away again and do a bit more detailing. Right, look at this. You join me as a koala takes its brave first steps into a whole new world. So there we go. It does work. They are starting to use it. Should we see where he goes? I reckon he's going to go and have a lie down on the bed. You have to say the mechanics of the game are wonderful. I mean, for it to actually figure out where you've built all these things and what connects to what and where the animals can walk, and then to animate it so well. I know it's a bit glitchy sometimes, like see there. I mean, that's not a good dismount really, is it? But you can't have everything. On the whole, it's incredibly good. So now you see the idea. If you were walking along here, you would look up and see a koala bear. Sure, this platform is probably a little bit low. I might have to adjust it a bit, but you get the idea. I mean, I'm never going to let people in the park anyway, so it's not a big issue, is it? He's just chilling out. Oh, he's falling asleep. He's so cute. Brilliant. Oh, so what have I been doing anyway? Sorry, I've not really done that much, I'll be honest. I just really wanted to show you that. As soon as I spotted him walking along there, I thought, yeah, let's show him. So anyway, the flower beds. I've just started so that you'll get an idea of what I'm doing with the flower beds. Usually I cover up the curbs from the pathway, but actually I'm using it in this case. I thought it makes a perfectly good edge for this pathway. So all I've done, I've used the large rocks along the back to cover up that gap. And then I have put some of these smaller rock pieces just dotted along here, along the backs, and then I'm filling in the gaps with plants. Got a few ferns, various different flowers, just mixing them up a bit. Another fern there. I love these ferns. They just add a nice bit of green. You know, you don't need everything to be colourful. And obviously a little bit of height with these golden rods. These are lovely plants. And then all these other gaps I'm filling in with these moss rocks. So Campion moss, so it's a rock with moss on, and I just sink them in. And I think they look really nice because they've got these lovely little flowers on, but they're also nice and 3D, so it really looks like there's moss growing over the rocks. So that's my little technique, just for filling in all the little gaps that you don't want to fill with plants. And I've also just started this flower bed, so I've done the same. I haven't filled in the gaps yet, but that will be my next thing. And just, yeah, it's simple but it's effective. So all of these gaps here will be filled in with the moss rocks. So you'll see that on my next section. You'll see the difference that it makes, because at the moment if you look at that, it looks like a half-finished border because you've got too many gaps. It's green. That would actually be soil. I mean, if you painted that as a soil colour, it would look okay because at least then it would look like a flower bed. So I am going to have to do that obviously because you've got a lot of this long grass in here. But once all these gaps are filled in with this moss rock, I think it will look really, really nice. So that will then continue, and I'll do the same in this area here. And then eventually I've got to work out what I'm doing in this bit. And I have got an idea because actually the koalas can come in here, especially if I move this, they can obviously come right out into here. So I may even use this as part of the habitat, build a new fence along the front here. And I've got a bit of an idea of maybe having a couple of trees in here which they can come in and climb on. So yeah, we shall see. But yeah, I just wanted to show you the koala actually using the rope bridges. Oh, look, you've got one having a little swim over here now as well. They're great little things, aren't they? What are their names like? What have we got? Oh, we've got a Sophie. That's a nice normal name, isn't it? We've got a Sophie, a Lachlan. Oh, an Oscar. That's a great name for a koala, isn't it? An Oscar. Look at him. He's going climbing. See what I mean about the white bark on these trees? It really shows the koalas up well. Oh, look at him. He's sitting in the air. What a clever koala. Okay, so the graphics aren't always great. Oh, you can't have everything, can you? Oh, it's hilarious. Okay, so the koalas do struggle a little bit with their climbing, don't they? What's the other one called? Oh, I've got an Emily as well. Wow, some really normal names apart from him. Apart from Lachlan. I assume that's how that's pronounced, Lachlan. I don't know. Answers on a postcard if you know any different. Yeah, you can't get it perfect, really, can you? But yeah, it's pretty damn good. Right, so let me crack on. So I've got to finish all these flower beds next, and then I need to start working obviously in here. So I'll probably use the same rock technique around the outside here, and then I need to decorate the middle with some plants and shrubs. Probably not any more trees because I don't want it to be too crowded. I really want you to be able to see the animals climbing. And obviously getting around on the floor, and then I just need to do this bit at the front here as well. So again, I won't be doing around the outside of the pathway because that will happen when I know what's going on around the outside. I probably will decorate this gap that I've created with the pathway here. Got a bit of an idea of what I want to do there actually, involving some archways. So yeah, so let me just go and do a little bit more and I'll be back in a second. And here we are, we've done a bit more. So let's just start here with what I've created here. Obviously I haven't quite worked out what I'm doing with this gate yet. But these are the trees I've put in. What are these ones called? I forgot. Desert bloodwood tree. I just thought they looked really nice. I thought they were a nice contrast to the white bark of these trees. And so the koalas now can actually come right in here. So again, let me show you their traversable area. So as you can see, they can. It's a bit tight, but they can. They can come in here, and as you can see from the green lines, they can actually climb these trees. And they do. Again, they get quite high in these trees. In fact, look. Oh no, that's the one behind. Yeah, look, they can come right out here and right up into these branches here. So they do. I have seen one of them using it, so that's good. Yeah, I think that's nice. Obviously, I need to build a bit of a fence along the front here and work out what I'm going to do with the door, but that's fine. That's good. I built a platform in the middle here. I wanted them to have an area inside the habitat that they could sleep on as well. So I've put a platform in the tree here and just adjusted it right so that the ropes connect right up to it. So they do now come up onto the platform and then onto the ropes, and that works really nicely. I finished off this flower bed, so now, as I was saying in the last segment, I was filling in all the rocks with this moss rock. Sorry, let me try that again. I was filling in the gaps with this moss rock. There we go. And you can see the difference it makes. It really sort of finishes it off, doesn't it? Even when you've got these large areas, it just looks really nice having all this stuff in amongst all the plants. Because if you fill it up too much with the plants, it becomes a bit over the top. Sometimes less is more, I think is what I'm saying. And it's exactly the same in real life. If you have a flower bed with too much chucked into it, as I know from experience, it can look crowded, it looks too busy, it looks disorganized. So actually sometimes, in fact all the time, when it comes to gardening, less is more. And so try it out when you're doing your next flower bed in the game or in real life. You can I've left a bit of a gap back there, I'll have to fill that in. Try it. Less is more, honestly. Try stuff like this, filling in the gaps. And you don't even have to put this in. Like I said before, if you just painted that as soil and left it, again, it would look good. It would still look better than filling it up with plants. So you can see from the side, you can see from all angles, it looks like a purpose made flower bed. It looks organized, it looks natural and a bit wild, but it doesn't look crowded, and that's what you want to try and get in these flower beds. Now I know it's a bit different to what I've done here, but these ones, because they were enclosed in the way they were, I wanted height and I wanted them to be quite crowded. So it does depend on the situation of where the flower bed is, as it does in real life. But in this situation, it looked good having it quite crowded, whereas in these beds, because of the way they are, crowded wouldn't have looked good. Mainly because there's no border at the front. If this was a raised bed here at the front, you would need it to be more full up with plants, because you wouldn't see the stuff on the ground. But because it's open at the front, you want to be able to see the ground. And that's my gardening lesson for the day. So let me crack on with some other things. Anyway, so I've done obviously this flower bed, so this is the same. And I'm repeating the use of the different plants as well. Again, that's keeping the palette down to just 3 or 4 plants. I think it's four actual flowers and then ferns as well. Just repeated all the way around. And it just keeps that pattern repeating, and it keeps it looking organised. Keeps it looking, it looks wild and it looks natural, but it also looks like it's been done on purpose, which is what you want. And that's where we are. So yeah, so a little bit of progression. That's taken me a while. I've also done the rock work around the inside. Really simple, just putting these rocks, a complete layer of them around the inside there. And let me just highlight again the traversable area, so you can see they can come right out onto all these platforms. I haven't copied the big platform. I will move the platform over onto this over here as well. Oh yes, I did this. I added another platform here, because originally it came over here and you had 2, but I felt like this here needed a 3rd one that came over here a little bit further out, and this is the one that I will be changing to match this sheltered one on the other side here. So I'll be doing that in a minute. So now all I need to do is decorate inside with some shrubbery and work out what I'm doing at this end with the fencing as well, and then we'll basically be done, and probably what I'm doing with this little bit of pathway here as well. So yeah, not too much left to do actually. So without further delay, let me go and get on with it. And here we are, we have our final koala habitat, and I've done a fair bit actually since I last spoke to you. So let's start with the entrance. Let's start here. So this is what I decided to do with the gate. I thought this fence looked really nice. So this is the in-game barrier fencing. So I just stretched it out and I've hidden it at each end using these archways. I thought because you've got the green hedge coming up here, I thought it looked nice having an arch connected to it, and then I thought I'd mirror that here, and then at some point whatever I build in here may well have more hedging around it to connect it as well. And I really like archways. I'm going to have a lot of archways in this zoo, I think, because it's really helpful to connect areas together. Things on each side of a pathway are connected if you build an arch. So that was my fence. I then just put some rocks along the bottom and decorated it with a few ferns, and it's really simple, but it looks really nice. Well, I think it does anyway. So that is that. They can still luckily climb up these trees as well, so that's not an issue, and they can't escape, even though I think actually they would climb along here and get on top of this hedge. The game doesn't think they can, so that's good. So going inside the habitat, as you can see, I've done various bits of decoration. So really simple, just some greenery dotted around the outside. A few bigger bushes in the middle here as well. Some ferns and what is this one? A custard apple tree, again, just sunk stuff like that into the ground. There is another tree here, which is one of the in-game enrichment items. So it's got a feeder on the side here, and they do climb, I think they climb right up to the top as well. And so that's cool. And then in the water, I didn't want to do too much here, just some reeds and then some of the scavola. Is it scavola? I always forget. Yes, scavola. I am remembering these things. Just around the outside. Dotted a few rocks as well. Some of these aquatic faux rock pieces around the outside as well. And put some other enrichment in. So you've got a little scent bowl there. You've got the musical instruments here. You've got one of these sort of mirror things for them to play with as well here. And did I put anything else in? I don't think so. I think the only food one suitable for koalas was this tree, which is why I used that. And there's one using the tree now. Lovely little thing. Oh look, he's found himself a nice little seat there, hasn't he? Just chilling out in the tree. Oh, excuse my dodgy camera work. He's a happy koala, isn't he? Oh look, he's having a nibble. That's what he's doing. Look, he's having a little bite to eat. Very nice. Oh, here we go. Look, he's about to go and top it up for him. Get some food in the feeder. Oh, so oh yeah, silly me. That's what it is. Look, they stick the branches in this holder, and so they climb up to here and they eat the top. Sorry, silly me. I was thinking that these branches were connected to the tree, but they're not. That's actually what the feeder bit is. Yeah, I like it. Now that I've looked at it a bit closer, I can see that it's really obvious, isn't it? I was just being a bit dim. Great. Okay, so that was that. Let's move around the outside. What else have I changed? Not a lot. Obviously, I've put some benches and bins around as well. Nothing complicated about that. I just wanted a few seats dotted around for people to sit down and enjoy the view. So this was the other thing. So I had a little gap in the pathway here. And so this was my idea, was to have a sort of interconnecting archway here, filling up this gap. So what I did here, this is topiary in here, and then on top are these plants. So you've got the big topiary sphere in the middle, and I can't show you because it won't let me highlight them. But basically it's this particular plant, and I've just copied it, raised it, pasted it around, and made it look like a big ball of plant. You know, big ball of flowers, I suppose. And then just dotted some of these ferns in the top because they're just great, aren't they? I love all these ferns. The foliage is really cool. I think that looks pretty nice. I think it's a nice way of connecting. Again, just connecting the areas together. And I eventually, when I know what I'm building on this side, there may well be a third archway that comes out and connects to over here as well. So moving on round, not much going on here. I put the other shelter onto this one, as I said I was going to. I think that's basically it. Oh, and I'll put a media thing on this fence. I forgot to show you that as well. So you've got to have some media around, just telling people what they're looking at. So that's that. I think I only put one of those. I could probably do another one over here somewhere. Oh no, there we go. I did a small one on the fence here as well. So you got one on each side. Yeah, so that's cool. That's plenty. So there we go. That is our koala habitat. And I'm really, really happy with how this has turned out. Oh, look, this guy's going on the long rope bridge. See, they are using it. It is working, and it's so cool. I mean, if they built this in real life, it would be awesome, wouldn't it? Let's see where we go, shall we? Should we speed it up? They're a bit slow. I mean, he's even quite slow when you speed it up. Oh, he's turned around and gone back. Okay, never mind. Well, at least they're using it. That's the main thing. Oh, look, I still messed up the rope here. I still need to adjust that. So, yeah, one or two little details still to fiddle with. But the actual habitat now is basically there. It's done. And it does work very nicely, actually. It's, I'm very, very happy with how it turned out. I wasn't too sure if I could make these rope bridges work, but I have. So that's a bonus. And it's something I've not done before, you know, which is what I want to try and do in this zoo. It's boring for me, and it's boring for you if I'm building the same habitats over and over again. So I do want to try different animals and doing different types of habitats for them as well. And this one, I think, has been a success. And it's blending in nicely with the rest of the zoo. Obviously, like I said, it doesn't involve any sort of building, but it's a bit of a structure. It's a bit different, isn't it? There's no big fences or anything on it, so it's certainly different to anything I've done before. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm very happy with how this zoo is looking altogether, actually. So that's going to be it for our koala habitat. The next enclosure that I'm going to build is going to be over this side, because the zoo is getting a little bit lopsided, so I'm going to do some work over this side. and I am going to do it in this gap here, and it's going to be pretty big, and I can tell you now it's going to be penguins. So there we go. So our next episode will be penguins over here, and I've got an idea for what I want to do with it, and it's going to be tricky. It might be a disaster again, but who knows? I'll do what I can. But yeah, so you're gonna see me do an interesting penguin habitat in the next episode. But for now, let's call it a day there. So thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate you spending some time with me. I'm sure you've got much better things to be doing, but I do appreciate that you spend a little bit of your day with me in my zoos. Much appreciated. So let's leave it there. So thanks again, and I will hopefully see you in the next episode. Until then, take care and stay safe, and I will see you again soon.